What's up guys, Woody here, back with another Gwent video, and it's another new to Gwent video and carry on with that series because it seems to be going really well, people seem to be liking it. And today we are checking out provisions. So this came from my last video, actually my last stream. A couple of people were asking in stream about provisions because they've been watching a few streams. They're quite new to Gwent, and they were and streamers were talking about kind of provision value as if they expected everyone to understand, and obviously it's not a streamer's job to go through and explain everything about the game. That's what these videos are for. So what we're going to do today, it's going to be a hugely long video. There's no gameplay today because we're just kind of going through what's very important in any deck building process, and that is understanding what value you should be getting from provisions, and then that can kind of link into synergy with deck and kind of understanding deck building as a basis. Because I'm not going to lie, I love playing Gwent, don't get me wrong, but I think making decks is my favourite part of Gwent. Quick little side note. Yeah, most of my decks have gone because I just was getting swamped with decks. So I got rid of ones that I was just not playing anymore, and these are ones that I'm playing or I'm tweaking around with at the moment. But anyway, deck provision. So if we just jump into this Usurper deck, okay? Now they have changes recently. It used to say 160 slash 160, meaning I could have 160 provisions available. And then I'd spent 160 provisions. Now, if I jump into create a new deck, just for the sake of argument's sake, we'll jump in here and we'll just go with me. Okay, so now we see here it says 166. That means I have 166 provisions available to spend. This means that obviously minimum 13 units and it has a minimum 25 cards. So provisions, obviously the bottom right hand corner is provision cost. If we look, for example, at Zoltan. Zoltan here is 1 power and 15 provisions. So at the moment he's effectively, this is basic rule of thumb, negative 14 on provisions, because basic rule of thumb is you want your provision power to match your board power. By board power I mean this here. So at the moment it's not matched, but how can we make it match? Well, if we look at the ability, it says damage all units on a row by 2 or boost all units on a row by 2. So for him to match his provision cost, for him to be what we class as a value play, we need to make sure we have 7 units on a row that are being damaged or buffed. That way he's getting 14 on board power, he's coming up for 1, and then overall it means he's setting for his 15. That's 15. That's base value. Is that good? No, not really. Okay. Ideally, for a card that costs 15 provisions, you want to be getting a little bit more out of it, okay? That's a lot of provisions in our deck. That's almost 10% of what we can spend on a deck on one card, okay? So where this comes in is Zoltan is normally run with Nilfgaard. I can't see this now. I won't be able to change leader to another, no. So there's a card in Nilfgaard called Vivian, who when you play her, she's 10 provisions. She comes out at, I want to say, a 4 body, and she resets a unit to its provision. So its value is the same power as its provision cost. Meaning, so I would play Zoltan. Let's say I got lucky and I've got 8 units in a row. I've got +2 power over provision cost on Zoltan. Then I play Vivienne, and then Vivienne comes out at -6 because she's 4 body. And then she boosts Zoltan up to a 15. That's +14. That combo overall has got a lot of value because its power that is put on the board is more than what it costs to put in the deck. I hope that makes sense, okay? Now, Zoltan's a hard example. He's not run very often. Let's go to a card that is ran quite a lot. So Geralt of Rivia. I'll go to Geralt of Rivia because Geralt of Rivia is now in every single starter deck, which is a great shout from CDPR. I need to find Geralt of Rivia first. He's a 10 cost card, I know that. Here he is. So Geralt of Rivia. Destroy an enemy with 8 or more power. Now, that means Geralt of Rivia, he's 3 body, he's 10 provisions. This guy's never going to lose value, technically, because if you destroy an 8 cost, he comes out for 3, that's 11. He's already beat his provision cost. Why doesn't everyone run Geralt of Rivia in their deck? That's because consistency. So this is where we're coming into deck synergy now. Now, you can't really synergize a deck with Geralt. He's just a card that goes in your deck. There's no way of playing into Geralt. There's no way of playing out of Geralt, bar a couple of exceptions with Nilfgaard and cards that boost other opponents' cards. But that's a whole video for a whole nother time. So Geralt really is always getting his provision value, bare minimum. But What if the enemy only plays units up to 7 cost? Well, then all of a sudden you've got a 10 provision card in your deck that's got no value. And that's why you need to start thinking of consistency with deck building. So a lot of people, a lot of beginner players especially, put Geralt of Rivia in their deck because it's like a safety net. It's like, how do I get rid of it? If they play a unit that starts getting out of control, gets to 15, 20, maybe even 25 points, how the hell do I deal with that? Well, you play Geralt and you clear it. Massive value. But people are understanding that the number 8, in terms of a card being at 8 power, is like the danger area in Gwent. So that's an example of, you're always going to get your provision value, but is Geralt going to call what we say brick? Is he going to brick because is he going to be in your hand? Are you going to save him to last play, and then all of a sudden you get free value off a card that costs you 10 provisions because there's nothing on the board to remove? So that's an example of Geralt of Rivia. If we take Regis Bloodlust, because this is Bloodlust, is another interesting one. If we look here, deploy, he damages a unit by 4, but he costs 4. He's a 4 body. That's 8. Wait a minute, he costs 10 provisions. So why am I putting him in my deck? Why am I playing a card that only gets me 8 value on the board, but costs me 10 provisions in deck? Well, if we look here, Death Blow. So if the 4 value kills a enemy, it means that's banished. It's not in the graveyard, it's out of the game. So all of a sudden, we're running into a Nilfgaard matchup where they play Roach. We know that they play a Sire in that deck. And then when they play a Sire, they bring out Roach for a 9 cost combo. Well, actually, if Roach is only 3 value as a body. So if I play Regis Bloodlust and I kill Roach with Regis Bloodlust, I'm only getting 7 value on the board, but I am stopping a 9 cost combo later on. So I'm effectively getting my 10 value out of it with Roach. There are other exceptions as well. If you're playing against monsters, you could potentially damage like an old spear tip, a 12 cost card, down to 4, play Regis Bloodlust, clear it, and all of a sudden if they're running Osriel, they've just lost a massive Osriel target. Regis Bloodlust has got huge value. So when it comes to building decks, you need to start... So when you're building decks, you need to start thinking about my provisions. How am I going to play into my provision? Is my card that's costing X amount, is it going to get value? So you could be, for example, running cards like this. Well, I don't know why anyone would run it at the moment, okay, because this is out. The value of this card is out of your control. Destroy an enemy artifact, then boost it by its provision cost. So yes, if I'm destroying a summoning circle, I'm getting this to a 9 cost, and I'm clearing an artifact. Wait a minute, that's very good value, but what's the percentage chance they're running artifacts? That's very specific. I'm personally not a fan of playing these big provisionally expensive cards that are out of your control. A perfect example again is Cleaver, because Cleaver just recently got nerfed. He got put to a 10 provisions rather than 9 provisions. And Cleaver, even if Cleaver comes out and clears a 5 cost engine off the board, and I've spoken about engines in the past, engines are cards that get value over time. If he clears a 5 cost engine off the board, okay, he's only getting a free body, he's cleared a 5 card. That's only 8, but wait a minute, an engine played early in the round may end up getting 6, 7, 8, 9 extra value, and Cleaver can just clear that. So all of a sudden, Cleaver can be a very positive card and could end up getting more like 14, 15, 16 value with what he cleared off the board, the potential that card had for stacking up power, and what he comes out as a body. Now, putting your gold cards in your deck is where you need to start thinking about, okay, provisions. How much do they cost? Am I going to get value? Is there combo potential? Again, Tainted Ale. Damage a unit by 2 free charges. That's only 6 damage. So why would I run an artifact that's only getting me 6 value and it's costing 9 provisions? Well, if we link this with something like Hubert, which a lot of Anna decks do, then all of a sudden Hubert comes out of free, but boosts self by the amount of damage dealt to enemies on this turn. So wait a minute, I had Tainted Ale on the board. I'd done my 6 damage with it. So I got it was 9 provisions. I got the 6 value on it with -3 at the moment. I then play Hubert, which is free, and he's 9. So then that buffs up the 3, but then he'd gone back to -9 because of his provision cost. But wait a minute, he now boosts by 6, so he comes out at a 9. So that's a big combo. I could link that in with an Octavist and pop the Octavist and the Tainted Ale and then play Hubert, and all of a sudden Hubert can come out for 20 extra boost. which all of a sudden is mental. It's absolutely bonkers. Played it with Anna's leader ability, who damages unit by 8. All of a sudden, we're looking at Cubit coming out for 25, 30. Although the cards, as a base value, lost provisions compared to what they offer as power, as a combo of 4 or 5 cards together, they get a lot of value on the board. Hopefully, this is starting to make sense, okay? Now, the most important time, I'd say, when provisions come in handy is because most people know what big goals they're going to run. Most people know what smaller bronzes they're going to run. The big one is, what mid cards are you going to run? Where are you going to spend your 6s and your 7s? This is where it gets pretty tricky. If we look at spears, damaging enemy unit by 1, 4 charges. Wait a minute, this is 7 provisions, and I've got 4 damage of it. That's a terrible. I've got -3. Wait a minute, if I run it in a Skellige deck where I can use this to set up Bloodthirst by damaging enemies, just pinging them for 1, then overall that -3 in terms of damage or power on the board and provision actually matches out, and actually it gets me value in the end. And that's where you need to start thinking about your provisions, and that's where good deck building comes in. You start thinking about, am I going to get value off this card? Start thinking about percentages. When I click on Arrakis Venom, I personally don't like running this card because I don't run many decks that set up for it. But if I had Spears, or if I was playing Efni, then maybe I'd think about running this card, because Efni can ping a unit for 1. So they play a 4-cost card, I can ping it for 1, damage it, because then the death blow means it damages adjacent units by 3. Meaning that, wait a minute, I could get 9 power on the board of this card for 7 provisions, but also I could clear an engine and damage adjacent units. Wow, hell yeah, I'm going to run Arrakis Venom. But then if I was to run this in a, say, Usurper deck, I might not have the cards to set it up, and they might not get the death blow, meaning I'm only getting 3 value of the 7 provision card. Okay, so the final thing I want to touch on is, it's still provisions, is your little bronzes, your smaller bronzes down here, ones that you have to, when you build up, you've got, okay, I need to get some of these 4 and 5 costs in there because, well, I have no way of fitting anything else in, okay? And it's where you need to start thinking about, again, percentages. Spores is one that I run in some decks, I don't run in others. I like a way of trying to reset value on a card. If I'm playing Nilfgaard, I just run Peter. Otherwise, I sometimes squeeze Spores in. But again, Spores is a card that can brick. It's only 4 provisions, and it resets or restores a unit to its base power. Let's say, for example, they don't run anything that restores it to its base power. I might use it on my own units that was damaged by 2. So I'm only getting 2 value off a 4-cost card. That isn't very good. But I could then run into an Arrakis Queen, who plays a Glusty Warp at the end. I have last play. The Glusty Warp goes off, massive value. It's sat out like it comes out for free body, but it boosts itself up to 30 points or whatever. I could then play this, and all of a sudden it goes back down to 3. I've got bonkers value. I've got like 27 value off a card that costs 4 provisions, and that's kind of where good bronzes come in. Okay, good bronzes can be like really powerful for that kind of stuff. And when they link, like Trident Infantries, when a unit receives a boost, damage when it receives a boost, damage a random enemy roll 1. Link this with Viso. If you don't know who the Viso is, I'll quickly find him. If you don't know who Viso is and you're new to the game, this is a card. If you're playing Northern Realms, you have to have this card. So order ranged. Whenever a player plays a card, it gains a boost, and that boost can boost. It gains a charge, and then it can boost a unit by 1. So if this got 5 charges on it, okay, that's already got its value back. Then if I link that with Trident Infantry, as I just quite pointed out, Trident Infantry, all of a sudden this has got 1 value and it's pinged, so it's already got 5 value off its 4 cost. If I put 5 charges onto this, okay, it's gone up by 5, it's an 8, and it's done 5 damage. So Vice's got its value back, Trident Infantry's got more than its value back, and we've damaged the enemy. So you can start seeing how provisions link in with combos, and it's what you need to start thinking about. Yes, I know. When you're deck building, okay. Now, this, like I said, it's a short video. It's a slightly different video, but I want to encourage people to deck build as much as possible, because it's how you learn the game. Making bad decks is what every player does. Even the best deck builders in Gwent They won't put their bad decks up. Of course they won't. No one wants to watch a video about a bad deck. But to get to a good deck, you need to make several bad decks. You'll probably go through, like most of my decks I end up putting up, I've gone through 4 or 5 iterations of that deck and little tweaks here or there to make it better. Normally when they first make them, I go up with them, oh, that was bad. That was painful playing that game. But I know what worked, I know what didn't work. Okay, and I go back, I look at my provisions. Okay, what's getting me value? What got me value in that last game? Okay, my Octavist is bricking. I'm not getting enough value of my Octavist. I need to play another card second from last. Like, it's stopping me from getting a combo off at the end. I'm going to get rid of Octavist. I'm going to put something else in. And that's where you need to start thinking when it comes into deck building, when it comes into creating your own decks. My biggest tip, as I've said all along, Gwent, remember, you cannot lose ranks. So if you want to get into deck building, but you're worried about losing rank, as soon as you climb into the first rank, let's say you're sat at rank 15 now, as soon as you climb into rank 14, make a deck. Go out there, play around with it. If you lose 10 games in a row, it doesn't matter. Yes, you might be in the red on leaderboards. It depends how much you care about that stuff. But you're not going to actually lose rank. You're not going to go out of 14 because you cannot go out to 14. And you've got a chance to play around with a deck for 10 games and slowly tweak it as it's gone along. But like I said, provisions are so important. When you're making your decks, make sure you're getting value off your provisions. Basic rule of thumb, am I getting the same base value or game value as I am paying for provisions? If you're getting more, brilliant. If you're getting one less, but on every now and then you're getting more, that's fine, okay? But if you're looking at consistently you're getting 3, 4 value less than what you paid in provisions, then you need to start thinking about, do I swap a card out? Do I look at putting something else in? But that's going to wrap it up, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you found it helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you do find these new to Gwent videos helpful. I love making them. I love getting new players into the game. And also if there's anything you want me to cover on videos for new to Gwent topics, anything you say you're new to the game and you're like, I'm really not understanding this, I'm not understanding that, then let me know. I will happily do a video to help the community out, help new players out. I do plan to, I'm going to go through the starter decks. I have been playing the starter decks a little bit to I'm going to be ranking the starter decks, and then we're going to go through each of the 5 starter decks, and I'm going to be doing how to upgrade, what free cards you want to add in straight off the bat that will instantly make that a more competitive deck. That's the kind of plan for the next ones. If you guys got any custom requests, I can happily squeeze them in between. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by the video. If you did like it, then please give it a little like. I know that I appreciate your guys' feedback, even if it is just through a like. And if you want to keep up to date with more new to Gwent content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I do stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. If you want to head over to twitch.tv/whatsupwoody, then you can check me out over there. Depending on when you're watching this, I'm not streaming for a couple of days now because I'm away, but I'll be back. Don't worry, I'll be back and I'll be streaming again next Wednesday. But you could be watching this at any time, so that didn't make any sense or any help. It'll be like Wednesday, the 5th of July is when I'm next. June is when I'm next streaming. But anyway, I'm waffling on now. Thanks again, guys, for stopping by. And until next time, have a great day, morning, evening, whatever it is where you are. And ciao for now.